Angus.
Well, thank you for coming to our committee today. Ms. Clement, I want to follow up on a comment I thought I heard you say. I'm not sure. Did you say that you thought the existing laws that we have should just be applied?
I was speaking specifically about the ways that the laws around underage sexual activity, yeah. but I just want to specify that I am no expert in the laws around internet technology. I was speaking specifically about the way we view youth sexuality is problematic. I also mentioned that as well.
Yeah, okay. No, I'm interested because we did not get, we were very clear when we started this study that we do not have the mandate of status of women or justice, where discussions about sex work, I think, is very, very germane. Our focus was whether or not the laws protecting privacy images and non-consensual images are used. So I've been asking continually, don't we have laws? But the Liberal government's talking they're going to create a new regulator. It seems to me kind of a bizarre addition. Like either we have laws that protect on child pornography, and if it breaching the law, it gets taken down. It seems to be fairly straightforward. But what do you think of this idea of a regulator of online content?
I'll go back to what I was saying originally, and that's the problem with the conversation is that, and in this committee as well, is that there's a conflation of youth and adults. And so I don't know that it makes sense. I think you all, and I think Sandra put it extremely well just now, is that rather than pretending that you're all having the same conversation moving forward, I think you need to start from the beginning and really unmix all of the conversations you're having at the same time, because you're asking me about regulation of the internet in this moment. But I've also been watching the testimonies, and I've heard at the same time the way that people say, oh, I've gone home and now we have to think about our children in certain ways.
Okay, I know, but do you think a new regulator will change that?
We don't. New regulations aren't necessary. No,
okay,
that is sort of where, and we don't think any special regulations around the sex industry should be. But I would also like to say, in fairness, that you may have started with the mandate of, can you still hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, you may have started with the mandate around privacy, and that's one that we were really interested in. But the first person that you invited to this committee I was told by the clerk to frame the discussion, was somebody from Rape Relief who told you that sex work is exploitation, and that's how the conversation started.
Okay, so, thank you for that. I guess the issue here, and I'm just need to really clarify this, because we have a very simple mandate, which is the issue of whether or not images are being used without consent. That was what we started with. That was where we were at. We have received many briefs, and many briefs from across the political spectrum, as is people's right. Whether somebody doesn't like Madonna is not really something I'm interested in. I'm interested in whether the laws that we have are sufficient for people who are non-consensual. So this study did come from the New York Times article. That was it. I don't think it helps to say it's fabricated news or it's some kind of right-wing agenda. It was a very powerful question. Why would someone who was a child, whose images were being exploited, be put on Pornhub and you couldn't take it down? That was a straightforward question. And we thought those answers would be pretty straightforward to get. I spoke with a Pornhub executive who said to me he was very flummoxed by the refusal of Pornhub to deal with these. Apparently, he said it's a very small percentage of what their whole business model. They have a very profitable business model. I have absolutely no interest in the pornography industry, whether it's added to, whether it's not my issue. My issue is, why was Serena Fleida's video up there and she couldn't get it down? She was not a youth working in the sex industry. She was a child, period. So we have laws that should affect that. So I'm concerned, again, in terms of the issue of sex workers' rights and working in a safe space is all, I think, perfectly legitimate and fair to discuss. But for my committee, what I'm looking at in terms of the ethics committee is whether or not we have protections for those who it wasn't consensual. So when the RCMP told a survivor that they had no mandate to deal with taking down her sexual assault video because the terms and conditions of Pornhub protected them, I found that to be ridiculous because the consent that was given was by her sexual assaulter, not by her. I could hear, you guys might think that these are, stories that are conflating and upsetting and attempting to, turn people's minds. To me, this is what I heard from witnesses. And I think if a survivor called the RCMP and said, listen, this was non-consensual, nobody believes survivors. They go to the police all the time. Sex workers, they don't believe. But I want to know that the laws that exist in this land for something like that has got to be pretty straightforward. Pornhub is an immensely powerful company. They have all the tools in the world. When these issues are raised, and they are raised about Pornhub because it is a Canadian company, we can deal with them. We can't deal with all the others, and it's not our mandate to deal with all the others. But when it's an issue of someone who said, this was an assault on me, and it's up there on the site, it should be fairly straightforward to have that taken down without impinging on any of the rights of sex workers. I think that's a pretty straightforward
thing to do. Or,
yes,
I'm sorry
thank you,
I'm
Mr.
writing
Angus.
notes and notes here.
Yeah, okay, order please. The chair has asked me to take over the chair, so Mr. Angus will give the witness a chance to give a very short answer.
Yeah. I was actually going to ask Ms. Lukings because she looks into this stuff on the dark net.
Very good, thank you.
And she's been, I haven't heard her voice much, so I just wanted to hear, because do we need to go to the dark net if we have laws to protect people who should be on the online legal platforms, to just say, no, that's a problem, take it down, the rest of the stuff is fine?
Okay, shout out to Charlie Angus. Hey, I had dark hair when we met ages ago. What's up?
Where was that?
Newfoundland.
Oh, yeah.
I was
had dark hair,
expecting Jack Harris to be here. He wasn't here. Anyway,
He's
whatever.
Smarter than me. He's smart. That's why I called you out, yes.
Okay. So to answer your question, so we were talking about what is actually required for companies. So looking beyond the issues of conflation and like actually getting to what the actual issue is here. Okay. So we have a company who's making money hosting content. We already know that in business under PIPEDA, you have a liability to protect the personal information. And we already know that technology exists, which allows us to, I think it's called fingerprint or Microsoft DNA or something like that. We also have automation technology, which is very, very available right now, that is able to scan images that are submitted and count the number of faces. And it can also identify different faces. So think of when you open your phone and it looks at you and it's like, oh, you showered and you look like a troll today, Melissa. We're not opening for you. And then I look normal and it opens. So each of these faces in a video would be identified as a different individual. I see no reason why the new Digital Charter Implementation Act and the new rules that are under PIPEDA, rather than regulating, is that we put a larger onus on the content host, because it's going to have more fines anyway. So if we put a larger onus on the host to ensure that there is consent and find those who don't follow those rules, I don't see why we couldn't have Pornhub and other websites hosting content on the surface web, because people are going on the dark.
Okay, and I know I'm running out of time here, and I'm probably over.
Mr. Angus, you are out of time completely.
Can I ask Ms. Lukings to send us some? We have the new charter. We are going to be dealing with this at committee. I do a lot better when someone does my homework for me. Can you send me some of that sort of language about how we could actually embed it into the new charter? Thank you.
Absolutely. I did a 76-page research paper on it this semester. Got an A-.
Awesome. A-. Well, you're going to get an A+ at our committee.
I can't cite things. It's hard.
That's okay.
But I will absolutely send that within the next 24 hours. I can outline a full solution with graphs and images and everything.
Thank you. We'll turn to